In 1996, in a place called Patna, India, a young man named Anand Kumar clinched victory in a prestigious mathematics championship. The event had a notable guest, the Minister of Education, who, during his speech, praised Anand's remarkable achievement. The minister emphasized the need for Indians to make a global impact, highlighting that the world isn't just dominated by Americans, British, Japanese, or Chinese. He also pledged his support to anyone striving to uplift India socially and economically. Inspired by his win, Anand shared his dream with his girlfriend, Supriya. He aspired to study at Oxford or Cambridge and earn a PhD in mathematics. Anand's passion for the subject ran deep. Even his love letters to Supriya were crafted in binary code. To sharpen his skills, Anand often visited libraries in other areas to tackle challenging problems from international journals. However, his determination once led to him being caught and expelled by a librarian. That day, an office boy offered him a valuable tip. If Anand could publish an article in a foreign journal, he'd gain free access to the library for a year. Taking this advice to heart, Anand dedicated himself to solving an unsolved math problem. Using an old school as his workspace, he cracked the problem and promptly mailed his findings to England. Anand's father, a humble postman, was his greatest supporter. When Anand couldn't afford to send the letter, his father rallied his friends to gather the necessary funds. Despite their financial struggles, his father taught Anand to dream big. One day his father returned home overjoyed, waving a letter in his hand. Anand's article had impressed a Cambridge professor, who offered him admission without the need for an entrance test. Anand was ecstatic. Initially, he only aimed to publish his article for library access, but now had the opportunity to study in England. He proudly showed the librarian his published work, turning his earlier humiliation into triumph. Grateful, he also thanked the office boy for his game-changing advice. His parents, brimming with pride, began preparations for his journey. Anand's father, especially, couldn't stop talking about his son's brilliance while arranging his passport. Anand's confidence soared, and he decided to formally introduce himself to Supriya's father. While Supriya's father was skeptical of Anand's modest background, he acknowledged the young man's exceptional talent. However, financial hurdles soon loomed large. The family couldn't gather enough money for Anand's departure. Remembering the minister's promise, Anand and his father sought his help. Unfortunately, the minister dismissed their plea, forgetting his earlier assurances. Dejected but undeterred, Anand's father vowed to find another way. Despite selling his wife's jewelry, borrowing from banks, and collecting debts, Anand's father couldn't secure the needed funds. The family's hopes dimmed, and tragedy struck when Anand's father collapsed. Rushing him to the hospital under heavy rain on a bicycle, Anand's desperate efforts were thwarted when the bike chain broke. His father passed away before they could get help. Heartbroken, Anand gave up on his dreams. He told Supriya to marry someone else, feeling incapable of providing a future. To support his family, Anand started selling snacks using his father's bicycle, even using pages from his math books as wrappers. His dreams seemed buried under the weight of reality. One day, while cycling, Anand had a minor accident with a car. The car's wealthy owner recognized him as the brilliant mathematician. Surprised to find such talent reduced to selling snacks, the man, named Lalan Singh, decided to help. Inviting Anand to his luxurious home, Lalan offered him a new opportunity, a chance to work in India, specifically at IIT at Indian Institute of Technology, the country's premier institute. Getting into the prestigious IIT-JEE Institute of Technology is no easy feat, and Lalan Singh, a wealthy businessman, knew the demand for such education was skyrocketing. He explained to Anand Kumar that affluent families would spare no expense to secure their children's admission. Recognizing the potential, Lalan proposed that Anand join his lucrative coaching center business, known for preparing students for IIT. Initially hesitant, Anand eventually agreed, and his teaching skills became the cornerstone of Lalan's institute, attracting more students and enabling the business to double its fees. Anand's financial situation improved dramatically. With his newfound success, he bought a motorcycle, rekindled his relationship with Supriya, and even hired a housemaid to ease his mother's workload. However, the wealth and fame began to change him. Once humble and grounded, Anand started losing sight of his roots, basking in his star status at the institute. One evening, after a party, Anand encountered a young boy engrossed in solving a math problem. The child had dropped out of school but maintained an undying passion for learning. Intrigued, Anand rode home in a pedicab, only to learn from the boy's father that the family's poverty made education a luxury they couldn't afford. The pedicab driver lamented that education was reserved for the rich, while the poor would forever remain marginalized, unable to lead or contribute meaningfully to society. These words struck a chord with Anand, reigniting memories of his late father's sacrifices and his own struggles for knowledge. Determined to make a difference, Anand printed flyers inviting underprivileged children to a free coaching program he planned to run, aimed at helping them secure spots at AIA. Selling his possessions to fund the initiative, Anand faced backlash from Supriya, who felt his selflessness would ruin his life. Their relationship ended, but Anand's resolve remained unshaken. Word of Anand's free school spread like wildfire, and children from various backgrounds, no matter how distant or disadvantaged, flocked to apply. With overwhelming interest, Anand selected 30 of the brightest students, offering them free education, food, and shelter. He took the time to understand their lives, their struggles, and their dreams of making it to IIT. Meanwhile, Lalan discovered Anand's new venture, which was siphoning students away from his institute. Furious, Lalan approached Anand, offering to double his salary if he returned to teach at the coaching center. But Anand refused, prioritizing his 30 students over personal gain. Enraged, Lalan vowed to crush Anand's school, going as far as to intimidate Anand and his students. The threats momentarily shook the children, but Anand's rousing words reignited their spirits. He reminded them that hardships and hunger were part of their lives, but those very challenges would make their eventual success all the more meaningful. His unconventional teaching methods encouraged creativity and real-world problem-solving, turning everyday situations into practical lessons in science and math. Lalan's attempts to sabotage the school escalated, including cutting off its electricity. Undeterred, Anand turned the setback into a learning opportunity, challenging his students to find innovative solutions. Together, they crafted ways to study efficiently despite limited resources, even building a projector to share a single textbook. However, Anand couldn't stave off hunger. Banks refused loans, citing the school's lack of profitability. With no other options, a disheartened Anand swallowed his pride and approached Lalan for financial help, desperately seeking support to feed his determined students. Lalan challenges Anand to a competition, inviting him to have one of his students face Lalan's best. If Anand's student wins, Lalan will provide free meals to Anand's students for 3 months. But if Anand loses, he must close his free school and return to teaching at the Excellence Learning Center. Left with no other option, Anand agrees to the terms. They seal the deal in front of witnesses at Lalan's prestigious institute. The next day, Anand and the Super 30 students head to Excellence Learning Institute for the test. After taking the exam, they return the following day for the results, with many journalists invited to cover the event. To everyone's surprise, the mentor supervising the exam turns out to be Supriya's new boyfriend, which catches Anand off guard. Meanwhile, Pranav, Anand's younger brother, informs him that one of their students, Fuga, is missing and that their money has disappeared. After much anticipation, the mentor announces that Anand's school scored 49% on the test, while Excellence scored 50%, meaning Lalan has won the bet. Lalan gleefully invites Anand on stage to declare that his school will be shut down. With a heavy heart, Anand steps up to the stage, his students visibly saddened. Just as Anand is about to speak, a reporter shouts a question about the agreement, asking whether the school really has to close. Lalan confidently orders the mentor to present the written agreement, but to his surprise, the mentor can't find the letter in his bag. It turns out Supriya secretly stole the document and alerted the reporters, preventing Anand from losing his school. She did this to protect him from having to close it down. Anand declares that his school will remain open and leaves with his students. Back at the school, Anand reflects on why the students struggled during the exam. They reveal that, despite being able to answer most of the questions, they were overwhelmed by nerves. On exam day, they sat next to well-dressed, wealthy children, which made them feel inferior. One student, Thuga, perhaps discouraged by the pressure, ran away. Anand theorizes that Thuga's inability to catch up, compounded by the language barrier, led to his despair. To address this, Anand cancels classes for the following day, which happens to be a holiday. Instead, he instructs his students to prepare a 20-minute theater performance in English, warning that anyone speaking in Hindi would be sent home. Pranav, confused by Anand's decision, questions how this will help, but Anand insists it's for their learning. The next day, the students perform in public, speaking English despite initial stammering. They are mocked at first, but turn the tables with a satirical song that resonates with the rich kids, who eventually join in the fun. Anand's lesson is clear: despite their differences, everyone deserves equal rights and opportunities. His students' actions are covered by the media, causing a stir. The Minister of Education, who invested heavily in Lalan's institution, grows nervous and urges Lalan to handle Anand's case. The minister wants to make sure none of Anand's students take the entrance test for the IIT campus. Later, a reporter approaches Anand with a disturbing message. A hitman offers a monetary reward to anyone willing to kill Anand. The assassin, however, reveals he owes Anand's father a debt for looking after his mother while he was imprisoned. Despite this, the police refuse to help, claiming that fate has its course. Pranav, concerned for Anand's safety, decides to find a weapon to protect his brother. Meanwhile, while Anand is bringing food to his students, he is ambushed by an attacker. Anand is shot in the stomach, and just as the assailants are about to finish him off, the gun jams. They then plan to dispose of his body on the railroad tracks, but Anand fights back. Just in time, Pranav arrives with guns taken from the carnival, while Phugga, who had run away earlier, returns to work as a security guard. Coincidentally, the place where Phugga works becomes the site of a meeting between Lalan and the assassins, who plan to make a larger attack on Anand and his students, attempting to make it appear as if the assault were carried out by radicals. Phugga rushes to the hospital to warn Anand, apologizing for his earlier pessimism about competing with the wealthy children. Anand is immediately treated, and his students, alongside Pranav, defend the hospital, using their newfound skills to fight off the armed attackers. They manage to trap the assassins, ensuring Anand's safety. The following morning, after the attack, the students rest at the IIT campus entrance. Despite the exhaustion from the previous night's battle, they are ready for the test. A few days later, the test results are posted, and Anand anxiously waits for the outcome, worried about how many of his students will be accepted into the IIT campus. Pranav informs him that 30 of Anand's students have made it into the prestigious campus. Anand's dedication has paid off, as all 30 students have secured spots at the IIT, defying the odds. Anand has not only cultivated genius minds, but he has also changed the futures of thousands by providing them with the opportunity for a better life. In 2010, Super 30 was hailed by Time magazine as the best school in Asia, and even President Obama's envoy praised it as one of the world's most innovative schools. Anand continues to teach in the same building where he started, still focusing on providing education to underprivileged children, refusing government aid, and staying true to his principles. Despite ongoing threats, Anand has shown that his mission was never about wealth or luxury, but about breaking the tradition that only the rich deserve access to quality education. For Anand, education is the only way to escape poverty and adversity, and he has proven that anyone, regardless of their background, deserves the chance to rise through education.